Hello, mighty miners, and other friends who are joining us today. This is Mr. Keith with Mr. Keith's Content. Today for content, we're going to be learning about two people, both of them astronauts. The first person we're going to focus on is Neil Armstrong. Do you like to explore new places? A man named Neil Armstrong was an explorer. He visited a place no one had been before. He went to the moon. Neil Armstrong was born in Ohio on August 5th, 1930. He had one brother and sister. He was the oldest. And here we can see a picture of him and his brother and sister, Neil, being in the middle. Neil was always interested in flying. His house was filled with model airplanes. He built them himself. Armstrong took flying lessons at an airport near his home. He became a pilot when he was only 16. He even studied flying in college. He flew planes in the Korean War in 1951. He was given medals for his good work. He married Janet Sheeran in 1956. They had 2 sons. Armstrong worked as a test pilot in California. He flew over 200 different rockets, helicopters, and jets. One of the rocket planes Armstrong tested was called the X-15. It was the highest flying plane. It flew 40 miles high and reached speeds of 4,000 miles per hour. So not only could we consider him an explorer, we can consider him probably a risk taker because it wasn't all that safe to be a test pilot. The United States had a space program and wanted to send people to the moon. Armstrong was chosen to be one of the astronauts. He trained for 4 years before he could fly into space. The first mission Armstrong went on was Gemini 8 in 1966. He and another astronaut had to hook up their spacecraft with a rocket already floating in space. Their spacecraft spun out of control. Armstrong had to land fast. He stayed very calm. So here we can see what the spacecraft actually looked like. It would have been at the top of a rocket that was sent into space. The rocket would break away, leaving the capsule, which was only big enough for these 2 people to fit into. And then when it was ready to come back, it would come down from space into our atmosphere, and then parachutes would come out of it so it could land in the water. Once in the water, a Navy ship would be sent to go and rescue them. Armstrong became the captain of the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. So here we have Neil Armstrong and the other 2 men that were going to be with him, Michael Collins and Buzz Aldrin. Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon in a spacecraft called the Eagle. Then Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon. Millions of people watched him from the Earth on television. And here we can see a picture of the Eagle. Armstrong and Aldrin collected moon rocks and took pictures. So they brought samples back from the moon to the Earth so they could be studied. And here we can see one of them on the moon's surface. And you can see right here, part of the Eagle. If we look closely at his helmet reflection, we can see part of the Eagle as well in the reflection and the other astronaut who's taking this picture. We will also notice that you can see his footprints on the surface of the moon. While 2 of them were on the moon, the third person, Michael Collins, was in the spacecraft above the moon orbiting around. The astronauts made it home safely. There were parades and parties all over the world. And here we've got the 3 astronauts, Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin. Armstrong became a teacher. He taught at the University of Cincinnati. Then he worked in business. When this book was written about him, he was living in Ohio. Armstrong always believed in following his dreams. He was the first person to explore a new and exciting world. His footprints can still be found in the dust on the moon. Our second astronaut that we're going to talk about is Ellen Ochoa. Where would you like to go in space? Would you like to visit the moon? Would you like to see Earth from space? You could if you were an astronaut like Ellen Ochoa. And here we can see what appears to be a picture from the moon of the Earth. Ellen Ochoa was born on May 10, 1958. She was born in Los Angeles, California. She always wanted to be an astronaut. Ellen worked hard in school. She was a very good student. She liked math and music, and she learned to play the flute. In college, Ellen studied math and science. She went to college for many years. She became an engineer, but she still wanted to be an astronaut. The United States government was looking for astronauts. Being an astronaut is hard work. Astronauts must be healthy. They must have a good education, too. Ellen Ochoa knew she could be a good astronaut. She asked to join the United States astronaut program. At first, the answer was no. Ellen kept trying. She worked hard while she waited for her chance to be an astronaut. She helped invent new things. She also learned to fly a plane. Ellen got a job at a space research center. Then, in 1990, she got her chance to be an astronaut. Astronaut training was hard work. Ellen learned how to work and live in space. So Ellen was using something we call perseverance. She was told no at first, that she couldn't be an astronaut, but perseverance is where you keep working at it until you can get it. And she worked hard to keep going and finally became an astronaut. In April 1993, Ellen's dreams came true. She became the first Hispanic woman to go into space. Ellen flew with 4 other astronauts. They traveled in the Space Shuttle Discovery. Ellen saw Earth from space for the first time. Ellen went into space 3 more times. She went in 1994, 1999, and 2002. In space, Ellen did experiments to learn about the sun. She also worked on the International Space Station. Things floated inside the space shuttle. The astronauts floated too. Ellen slept in a sleeping bag hooked to a wall. She strapped herself down to exercise, eat, and play her flute. And we can look at this picture and see her feet are in straps that are attached to the flooring, so that way she would not start floating around when she wanted to stay still. Ellen likes being an astronaut. Today, she tells young people to work hard in school. She knows school will help them be anything they want to be. So there are 2 stories about 2 astronauts out of many astronauts that we've had. I hope you learned something new today. Until next time, friends.